again, college football fans. It is Sunday, November 29th, 2023. Week 9 has come and gone. Alabama's off week is over, so we can begin to hyperventilate about LSU and Jayden Daniels in earnest now. But first, I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened this past weekend. Oklahoma goes down. That's the top news. And Matt Berry said it was chaos. Chaos came to Kansas over the weekend. I don't see what's so chaotic about a 5-2. I think they were at least ranked at some point in the season team beating another team that just recently got their footing back after a new coach hire. I know it's Oklahoma, but it's not like this is a big-time vintage Oklahoma team. Like I said, they are 2 years into the Brent Venables era, so chaos. I mean, it was an upset, obviously. 9.5 points, but that is not chaos. I'm beginning to think that these television people have a hidden agenda behind the things they say. Like maybe ratings or something like that. Chaos. Maybe chaos equals ratings to them. So they've promised it all year. They've said that it is a chaotic year. And I'm sitting here at the end of October getting ready for the first batch of college football playoff rankings to come out Tuesday. And I see Georgia, Florida State. Now, granted, it has been Clemson the last few years. It has been the representative for if the ACC was going to have a playoff representative, it was going to be Clemson. But let's be honest, that was kind of chaotic in and of itself. Clemson's not doesn't have any sort of historical precedent of being the ACC's big power broker up there, but and Florida State is probably more of a traditional powerhouse really in the last 40 years than Clemson is, so I don't see how that's chaotic. Ohio State and Michigan in the top 4, that's not chaotic at all. And we've got one other undefeated team, so we've got 5 undefeated teams sitting here at the end of October that matter, and Alabama's still in the mix. Oregon, they've pretty much been the big dog in the Pac-12 for the last, 20 years maybe, probably since Pete Carroll left USC. So I don't think that these ESPN or these TV people are just telling you the straight truth about what they think, because chaos is not how I would describe this season so far. I mean, it could get chaotic, I suppose, but to me, chaos is like, Vanderbilt is making the playoffs, or Wake Forest, or somebody like that. I mean, a couple of years ago, it seems like Wake Forest was still in the mix. Maybe not this time of year, but they had a pretty good start a couple of years ago. Now, that's chaotic. But Ohio State and Michigan and Georgia and Florida State being near the top doesn't seem like chaos to me. But, just a commentary on your big-time television talking heads. Here at the Bama Randy channel, you're only going to get my unadulterated opinion, no matter how ignorant or misguided it is. Georgia still is good, so that was the second part of the news, I suppose. And it's funny to me how everybody's decided to change their mind now about Georgia. First they were shaky about Georgia, then a drubbing of Florida later, and suddenly, we were wrong about Georgia. I mean, it was a good win and everything, and Florida's a decent team, but come on. I memean, if you didn't think Georgia was one of the best teams to begin the weekend, why would beating Florida by 23 or however many points they beat them by, why is that suddenly an endorsement for Georgia's legitimacy in this year's college football playoff race? Georgia was good. I told you they were good. I told you they would smack Kentucky around. I told you Florida was not going to be a problem, even without Brock Bowers. And so I can not worry about my apology for Florida forgetting about them a couple weeks ago still being in the SEC East mix, because that is no longer. Talked about Jedd Fisch in Arizona a little bit in the preview to this weekend video, and they actually beat Oregon State. It was a fun game. I stayed up all the way for it. That's why I'm still a little bit groggy right now, I think. It's because I stayed up to watch that Pac-12 game out west. I don't think it was over till about 1 o'clock in the morning, or at least it was after midnight, which is pretty late for me these days. Okay, things I was right about in the, if you didn't watch the betting lines, the non-gambling advice video, If you had agreed with me and gone to your local bookie with some of the opinions that I had, if you'd shared them, you might have made a little bit of money. Not in every game, though. There was one game that I was a little bit wrong about. I was right about the morning games usually, and that's a safe bet. Those 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, which is my time, but I guess it's noon out east. But those first games that they play are always breeding grounds for upsets, and we got one. That's where the Oklahoma upset came from. And Penn State had to struggle mightily to beat Indiana. Now, Florida State did handle their business, and I believe I was pretty confident that would happen. So those were the things I was wrong about, that I was right about. The thing that I was wrong about was Vandy. Boy, Vandy went full Vandy down there in Oxford, and I felt like that Ole Miss would have trouble covering that 24.5 point spread because Vandy's played some pretty decent offense throughout the season. Decent, good is a very strong word, especially if you're describing anything Vandy does. But like I said, they went full Vandy last night down there in Oxford and looked terrible on both sides of the ball. Ken Seals was the backup quarterback that they've been using because A.J. Swan had been a little bit injured for the last few weeks, and Ken Seals wasn't able to do much, and so they brought in this 8-foot freshman, I think he was a freshman, who couldn't do anything but throw poorly and run a little bit, and they actually got a little bit more out of the offense with that guy than they did with Ken Seals. I guess their plan A. Plan B worked a little bit better, but then again, it wasn't until the end of the game after Ole Miss was firmly in control that they were able to move the ball at all enough to get that one touchdown that they got. So Ole Miss did wind up covering 33-7, I believe, was the final of that ball game. Now, a lot of people are ready to crown Ole Miss a legitimate contender now. One of the top 4 or 5, I guess, power brokers in the country because they slammed Vandy. But I'm ready to I'm pumping the brakes on that one. If they had gone on to beat them like 45-7, then I would say maybe this is the year that Ole Miss can actually finish out the season strong and make a bid for that college football playoff, because I don't really see why, if they only have one loss at the end of the regular season, even if they don't get to go to Atlanta because Alabama wins out, I don't see why they wouldn't at least be in the discussion to go to the playoffs. But, obviously a lot more has to happen. They've still got to play Georgia between the hedges and beat them. So my point is, don't get too firmly comfortable on that Ole Miss bandwagon just yet. All right, my top 4 going into this first official week of the college football playoff rankings. Not much has changed, I don't think. I think it's probably the same that I had last week. I got Florida State still at number 1. They've done nothing to knock themselves out of the top spot that I've had them in the entire time I've been doing this. Number 2, I've got Ohio State. They struggled a little bit for a little while against Wisconsin, but they wound up handling their business pretty well there towards the end. Number 3, I've still got Georgia because, like I said earlier, Florida, beating up on Florida is not enough for me to leapfrog them over Ohio State or Florida State. And number 4, I still begrudgingly have Michigan, even though I still say that they haven't played anyone. But, what can you say? They're beating the teams that they're supposed to beat the way that they're supposed to beat them. And I don't have enough faith in Washington or any, of the other one-loss teams to put them ahead of Michigan. So that's what we got. Florida State, Ohio State, Georgia, and Michigan. It'll be interesting to see what the official college football playoff first initial rankings looks like coming up Tuesday, I believe. Next week, the SEC is going to settle all family business, I suppose. I don't think, even if Georgia and Alabama both win, I don't think either one of them can mathematically sew up their respective divisions. But it'll pretty much be all over, but a few little details, because I think Alabama would eliminate LSU mathematically. Probably the only SEC West team, if Alabama wins next weekend, the only West team that would still be mathematically eligible would be Ole Miss, but that would that would require Alabama to lose both of their games against Kentucky and Auburn, which is on the road, so it's not completely out of the realm of possibility, but it would be quite shocking. Georgia, they would give the second loss to Missouri, so that would be 2 losses for everybody except for Georgia. Georgia might be able to sew it up next week. I don't know about that. I'll have to do the math on that, which I'm not good at. But, so this is going to be a short little review video. I don't have any Alabama game to review or anything. Just some musings about the goings-on in Week 9. And we look forward to Week 10 because it's a blockbuster. And like I said, go ahead and get those bags, those paper bags to breathe in so you don't hyperventilate too much about LSU for all you Bama fans out there. And we'll be coming at you with some more preview and prediction videos and who knows what else. Thanks for watching.